Oh my god, what a trailer.
I wanted to do more of a frame-by-frame breakdown of the trailer and do some various comparisons as well. More often than not, I discuss where the location could be in a scene, so feel free to watch the parts you want to and skip around. Okay, without further ado, let's get into it.
The world's ending. At least, that's what everyone's saying.
This sky, I don't like it.
So the trailer begins with Elmira talking to Zack and Cloud, who's on his back, saying the world's ending. So we have full confirmation of many things now. The ending of Intermission was not just a facade. We know Zack truly is alive somehow and got Cloud back to Midgar. Once again, Aerith nowhere to be seen, which makes sense why we have Elmira here instead of Aerith talking to him. Likely because Aerith's injured or dead as seen in the previous trailer. More interestingly, this brief scene confirms that Elmira has seen this version of Cloud. Elmira did not seem to recognize Cloud at all in Remake. We can likely assume that wherever this is taking place is a different world. Now, whether or not it is one timeline or two, it doesn't actually matter at this point. What does matter is that there is a world where Zack is different, at least in this scene, from our party zone world. Additionally, they are both cleaned up here, which I will get into later. It does also show a missing plate. It does seem to be the one being built, Sector 6, I believe. So just in case people may think this is the dropped Sector 7 plate, it likely is not.
We also see this text on screen: the world will be saved, but will you? This heavily implies it's talking about Aerith from my point of view. We have Zack looking out in the distance with Aerith talking about hating the sky. She essentially saved the world by sacrificing everything, and remember what went down here. That is some heavy foreshadowing in my opinion, so I would say this pertains to Aerith.
So moving on, we see Junon in all its glory. So since the gun was firing there, I first thought maybe it was closer to the end of the game, maybe even where the Sapphire weapon attacks, I believe. Glancing through this again, that's obviously not what's happening. It's a celebration. It's just a celebratory shot for Rufus at his welcoming ceremony as new president, which makes sense. He does say, "Welcome to the New World Order." People are cheering and confetti is flying, so 100% it's just the Junon parade. And boy oh boy, look at this. Our boy Cloud marching down the street. Okay, so this scene right here is a destroyed reactor. This is likely the one near Gungaga, if I remember correctly. It would not be Nibelheim or anything like that. There's too much foliage.
Just close your eyes and listen.
Now, this scene took me a second, but it's definitely the town below Junon, where we will meet Mr. Dolphin. Later on in the trailer, we see the boss fight that we have after Mr. Dolphin gets hurt, but we'll get there.
Listen, tell me you can't.
So now we have Cosmo Canyon. And some things to note, if you did know it was Cosmo Canyon, also a nice sign right here saying it. Also, look at the top of the screen. There are very different icons going on here. Icons that we did not necessarily see in the other trailers. We saw the blue icon, we saw the green one right here, but we have not seen these other black icons. And obviously one looks like a waypoint, one seems to be a shop for potions, this is a materia shop, I would imagine. So it's got very much an RPG elements of icons going on here around the map.
And hear that? Her rallying.
So this scene here is very unfamiliar to me, but it's likely near Junon since it's on the coast and the party's health or HP is relatively close to what they are in other trailers near Junon. The ground and surrounding rock is also reminiscent of Junon, as we saw in the previous trailer. We can also see a lighthouse and crashed ships in the background as well, but nothing more I can really take from it. This definitely doesn't seem to be across the coast, or across the ocean, I should say, near Costa del Sol, so it's likely before we get to Junon.
Planet runs out of energy.
Alright, and now here we can see water once again, but it's a lot brighter. There's a lot more green. This is going to be after we cross the ocean to Costa del Sol. This gives me Wutai vibes, specifically the peninsula it's on. This may also be outside of Costa del Sol, but it's definitely along the coast. And the health being a bit lower than it is later on when they're much further makes it seem that it's going to be closer to Costa del Sol than necessarily Wutai.
We can overcome our fate.
And now in this scene, we have Aerith just straight up smacking with the staff with Red 13, looking awesome. The rocks once again scream Cosmo Canyon to me. You can see a cactus in the background, very much like a desert. And now that I'm saying that, this could theoretically be the prison. There is this structure that kind of goes up. We know the prison is way beneath Gold Saucer. Otherwise, it's just Cosmo Canyon.
Am I the same as these monsters? Am I even human?
And then, of course, here we see Sephiroth and Cloud. This is definitely the flashback.
Okay, we're looking for Sephiroth. Think you can find him?
Oh, Sephiroth, you say?
And now in this scene, Cloud's, of course, talking to Kate Sith. Or more specifically, me Irish boy, Cat Sith! Now, looking at this room they're in, it's safe to say that just like the OG game, we are meeting him at the Gold Saucer. Specifically, this kind of screams the Haunted Mansion to me. This room, it looks a little bit older, some wood, and look at those little boots on this guy right here.
So you heeded the call too, did you?
Before I get to the location, you can see here that he can summon his big robotic, I don't know, Moogle creature or whatever, which he summons into here. And so that might have something to do with ATB, it might not. But now getting back to where this is, this might actually be a tunnel right here. But looking at this top left corner, this definitely screams Nibelheim to me. The black or dark gray mountains seem very reminiscent of Nibelheim from the initial trailer, and specifically this mountain range looks very much like the initial trailer we saw of Cloud and Sephiroth walking. And there's actually a scene later on that gets a better view of this range, and it's pretty much the same as that first trailer that we saw. So this has to be very close to Nibelheim.
What are you talking about?
As you can see, your brothers down there are having a...
Okay, and of course we have the buggy here we get after escaping the desert or the prison underneath Gold Saucer, which is actually where this place may be. This looks a bit different than any other location. It's a lot brighter. It's got this steel fence of some sort. It's kind of screams that this is the prison area and we're just leaving underneath the Gold Saucer to go to Cosmo Canyon. Okay, and now, like confirmation of different chocobo colors, we're breeding chocobos just like the game. They have specific abilities just like the game. You eventually get the gold chocobo. It has the chocobo tracks seemingly telling the player that you can go this way. Obviously giant arrows, but a lot of detail here showing that. And then this is seemingly the same place near Junon we saw earlier, at least with the shipwrecks. And now we get a bit better picture of what's going on here. Oh, and this is just, oh, blue chocobo, seemingly Cosmo Canyon here. You can see the nice structure. I don't know if you can climb it, but this looks climbable, these stairs. This seems very reminiscent of the original game climbing up to Cosmo Canyon. There's ruins here, big structure here. Oh boy, this is definitely Costa del Sol, like no doubt about it. There is no other place with these surfboards and tubes and just a vacation spot. Of note here are two things. In the trailer, this is where Hojo's talking.
As you can see, your brothers down there are having a little get-together.
Okay, and so that was Hojo talking to Cloud, telling him that Cloud's brothers are having a get-together, questioning probably why Cloud's not doing what the other 6 soldiers are. Aside from that, obviously, Buster Sword, Segway, very intimidating. But the big thing is Cloud having a new outfit. It wasn't really rumored, but some people were assuming or hoping that we would get different outfits because of Ever Crisis. Now, I always fully expected them to do outfits for Costa del Sol specifically, as well as the northern area heading up to the northern crater. So, not sure, but it's still big confirmation that there's different costumes to some extent in this game. And yeah, I guess the only other thing of note is distance traveled, seemingly with a Segway. This could be a mini game. It could be doing something like that. Maybe you're racing people on Segways. I mean, it could be anything. But seemingly the dock over here with a little lighthouse where maybe the ship you were on, the Shinra ship coming over, is docked. And now we see Cloud's quote-unquote brothers, but the soldiers who are sick, the Sephiroth clones, whatever you want to call them, going seemingly towards this giant door. And this structure does give off a very calm / castle-like structure. So they could be heading into calm here.
Yeah. I ask because I suspect there's soldiers suffering from cellular degradation.
Here we see this guy are sick, and then that guy are sick, and then this other guy are sick over here. But we also see this doctor. Now, this whole place is very interesting. This is a doctor's office, and there's really only one doctor's office we ever see in the original game. And it's the one in Medeal, and that's after Cloud gets sick. It even looks reminiscent of the original game. You have curtains over here seemingly separating the room, different medical curtains over here. And it would make sense that they put this here because of likely part 3 taking place in Medeal, a huge part with Tifa and Cloud, spoiler. And it would make sense that they kind of foreshadow and like drop this place ahead of time as a very important place. Now, they may change where Medeal is on the map. I don't see a reason why we would necessarily be traveling there in part 2, but the devs did say that locations may be in different spots. And that's a really smart way of incorporating this town and specifically Doctor because of the big part it plays in part 3. Come on. And then, oh boy, Midgar Zalem. Look at this thing. Look at those eyes, the teeth, the tongue. Mama. So looking at how tall the trees are, this Midgar Zalem seems actually a little small to me. The Midgar Zalem that's killed by Sephiroth is much larger, and that we may fight the smaller ones in this game. And of course, this takes place after the marshes, away from the Chocobo farm. So this would seemingly take place pretty early on in the game. And also judging from like the dead trees and kind of the fog, it's kind of reminiscent of the previous trailer. And now, of course, you have this boss battle I mentioned earlier. This thing comes out of the water, attacks Mr. Dolphin. This is under Junon, and this thing loves to just smack you with waves. So then going on, more dual tech stuff. So this is also along the coast, seemingly by Costa del Sol. Given the health value, this kind of confirms it would be closer to that than a Wutai. Very great dual tech art going on here with her and Barrett. So this is the same area we saw Kate Sith in around the 1 minute mark where I said this was Nibelheim. Looking this way across this whole mountain range here is definitely the same mountain range as the first trailer.
On me.
Interestingly, we get Sephiroth and Cloud teaming up to take down this big monster here with a dual tech. But this is no dragon. It's not raining. This is indoors. This is the monster in the Nibelheim reactor, which makes perfect sense because they were supposed to be investigating the reactor for big monsters in the first place in the OG. This whole scene's crazy for 2 reasons. First off, their health numbers here are super whack. Sephiroth's stats make sense, like 4,259, 60 MP. His MP is infinite, apparently. Either he has a materia or something, but he has infinite MP. That makes sense, but this is definitely the flashback here, and Cloud having this much health does not make sense to me. And yes, you can't always take health values, but he's supposed to be like a low-level soldier first class compared to Sephiroth here, and he seemingly has very close stats. So it's very interesting to me that they're this close, and I don't know what it means, but it does fascinate me. And at first I thought maybe this is not a flashback. Maybe this is at some point in the game where seemingly Cloud has to team up with him to fight this monster. Maybe Cloud's by himself in some way. That would make a lot more sense. But this leads into the second wacky fact of the scene and why it's definitely the flashback. The beginning of this scene has Cloud in the original Soldier First Class uniform. But it's very odd because in the very first trailer of them walking together, Cloud is not in this uniform. He's wearing his usual one in the present day with the one shoulder pad. This is likely some sort of fuzzy memory Cloud issues, like maybe he's remembering this part wrong and eventually he remembers like, oh, he's actually in this first class soldier uniform, the regular one. It could also mean that this scene may actually take place later in the game and is not necessarily a flashback. If I had to guess, it's just his memory messing around with him, which would make a lot more sense and a very cool way to tell this story. So first off, this here looks like straight up Alexander, because Alexander straight up is a castle. This is probably another summon fight. This is obviously in the virtual reality room. Maybe it's the same way you have to fight these summons to get them, or maybe this is just like a hard mode sort of fight. And then this thing, which we cannot see clearly, and at first I didn't think it was a summon, but looking through this Final Fantasy wiki, which I'm definitely not doing right now, it does look like a materia called Kujata, and detailing an attack dealing fire, ice, and lightning damage. So he starts with an ice attack, seemingly with electricity, ends with fire. So really, these devs just looked at the wiki or something and said, make him do that. So it's definitely Kujata, however you actually say it. And then, of course, we have beautiful Odin with his sword. Very updated, love it. And oh, baby, we have the gold saucer. We have Chocobo Square right here. We have Battle Square. Oh my god, and you can even see like the support structure. There'll probably be a bunch of slides going from one place to another with probably instantaneous loading. But this is absolutely beautiful. The music's gonna get stuck in your head. This is awesome. What even is this? Is this like a roller coaster? Is this where like you go on the date? Like who knows? And you can see the trolley going up, the railways going up this way. Oh, Speed Square right there with the oh my god. And everyone's all happy. They're pointing. Oh my god. Andrea Rodea. Everybody's excited to see him. Yuffie's in an outfit. Everyone could be going to see Andrea Rodea right now. They could also be going to see this next person. And this guy kind of has to be Dio. And judging from the original game, it's kind of close. He's obviously wearing more clothes here and not just a Speedo. Watching this scene again, he's very hairy, a lot of eyebrow, a lot of beard, and he's also seems to be the guy, the celebrity at the Gold Saucer, which makes sense for who he is. So I would assume this is Dio. And then we have Chocobo Racing, of course, Clouds in 5th. You've got the Dash, Speed Burst. Very similar map looking thing here. Slow down, probably to get your Speed Burst back. A lot of similar controls here to the original. You have these polygonal figures fighting, seemingly in a boxing match of some sort. This is like 1-for-1, at least the area of escaping Midgar. It's even got the spinning / nitro boost is different. You've got up top the start, and then the goal at the very end, trying to get a high score. Obviously target score here, total score is what they're at.
Excuse me, could you look after my friend? Just for a bit.
So now we have Zack dropping off Cloud to Kyrie. This is seemingly where Cloud and Zack are going to separate, but in fact that is not true. This scene and the first scene are actually very different. In the first scene, Cloud and Zack are cleaned up. However, in the later scene, Zack's very messy. Along with Cloud, you see him with bumps and bruises as well. He's not doing very well. That seems to be some dirt, but definitely all these bruises and Zack's marks from his fight with Shinra. So these are two different scenes entirely. So yes, Zack does separate from Cloud for some time right now, but we see them together again later. So for those theorists saying him and Cloud separate, that might be true, but that's not what is happening here. We're now back at Junon, and we see Rufus here once again, and then we have this mysterious figure. Some people might think this is Reeve because of his beard here, you can see, but Reeve has black hair, and also Reeve's beard is much longer. Couple all this with the fact that Reeve is a Shinra executive, so he would definitely be playing a public role right now at Rufus's ceremony. So it's definitely not Reeve. So who this could be is Glenn from Ever Crisis. That's my best guess here. We do see him in the Ever Crisis trailer with Sephiroth, and so how he looks there is pretty reminiscent to how he looks here.
A weapon?
Tutelary creatures, set only to appear when the planet is in grave danger.
And then we have one of the most mind-boggling scenes in this entire trailer. This blows my mind for a few reasons. This is all Part 3 territory for the most part, so it comes back to where is this actually taking place? This is a new scene. Tifa looking at this weapon and Red 13 discussing it, and the other party members are likely there. Part 3 obviously will have a bunch of weapons, so why is it being introduced here? And what does this actually confirm? So there is a scene close to this in the original game, and this might be what they're doing here. In the original game, there is a scene where they explain what the weapons are before you get to the Northern Crater, and it's at Professor Gast's internal recordings in Aerith's childhood home way up north, where they were hiding from Shinra. There is some data and different information detailing what the weapons could be. I believe also video of Professor Gast asking Ithalna what the weapons are. This could be that scene, so possibly Professor Gast could have his own projection room in that home. If not, this could just be a new scene entirely. If it's not that scene, it could be the observation room in Cosmo Canyon, because Red 13 is explaining everything here about the weapons. And Bugenhagen would likely know about the weapons as well, to some extent.
Who dares disturb my slumber?
And so this is all straight up just the OG, right? We're under the mansion, these old candles. Like, everything about this is very much the same thing. So breaking down the room a little at first, we obviously see the treasure chest over on the left, and we also get to see the entire party up until this point. Kate Sith, Barrett, Tifa, Red 13, you can see here, Aerith, Yuffie, and Cloud. What this seemingly confirms is that Vincent will not be the last party member. Though Vincent was optional in the original, so was Yuffie, and they're definitely including Vincent. He's so important to a lot of the background of Shinra, and specifically Hojo. There's no way he's optional, and there's a reason they're showing him here. So what this confirms is that we get Vincent on the first trip to Nibelheim. So this confirms that Sid, for sure, is going to be the last character you get in this game. And we've also seen a bunch of spots in these trailers where, yeah, we're definitely going beyond Rocket Town. The red cape, awesome. Definitely has the gold shoes. You can see a lot more of the gold armor plating going up his legs. He does have his usual black on. Of course, there's no face reveal, but it shows you he's in the game, and that's good enough for me in this trailer.
So this is me after the fact editing, but you can actually see for a brief glimpse here his whole body design, and it's very close to his original design. The next frame shows he still has his gold over his hands. Then finally it looks like for a brief glimpse you can see his gun. Anyway, back to the video.
It's upon us. The reunion. When worlds merge. I'm waiting, Cloud.
And so now we get to flashes of the end of Remake. But interestingly enough, all this is not Remake. But why? Why are these here? Why the hell are they redoing these scenes in Rebirth? It could be as simple as doing a recap video, because they did say they're gonna create a way for newcomers to understand what's going on. So this could simply be just a CGI cutscene along with a bunch of other info. But what if it's not that? These moments could be revisited in the future. Cloud in Remake gets memories of the future, or of stuff that's already happened in the original game. So these moments could be revisited. Generally, I'm just excited to see where it goes. Now we get pretty much to the end of the video, and I want to go over the very important lines here spoken by Sephiroth.
It's upon us. The reunion. When worlds merge. I'm waiting, Cloud.
It's upon us, the reunion. When worlds merge, I'm waiting, Cloud. This could be a whole video in and of itself. So let me try to explain it here, at least from my perspective. And let's start with the first half, because it's pretty self-explanatory. It's upon us, the reunion. At first glance, this is classic Sephiroth. He needs Cloud for the reunion at the Northern Crater. But then we get on to the second half of what he's saying. It's upon us, the reunion when worlds merge. I don't think he's talking about the Northern Crater specifically anymore. Without going down a whole rabbit hole, I have to explain the two timeline theories in like one sentence each. So the two timeline theory is the most popular at the moment. This theory states that the world where Zack lives is a different one from Cloud and the party. For this theory, it indicates that the two worlds will merge. merge, just like how many have thought. So Zack in some way is going to be in Cloud's world, and vice versa. Then there's the one timeline theory that's gaining steam, where Cloud and the party at the end of Remake come out of the singularity and are actually in Zack's world where he survives, and are no longer in their own. Sephiroth's words here are also poignant for that, as the worlds have merged. Essentially, either theory can be right, but I'm gonna blow your mind and say it actually does not matter. What matters is that the worlds merge. In both theories, the worlds merge. With this point, Sephiroth may no longer be talking about the reunion at the Northern Crater. It's insinuating that Sephiroth wanted Zack alive. It's foreshadowing that Sephiroth was even the one who allowed Zack to live. Based off these trailers, plus what the devs have said, Zack is extremely important to what is going on in Rebirth. And Sephiroth appears to need Zack and the worlds to merge in some way. That's what he wants. For what reason? I have no clue. We still don't know what Sephiroth's endgame is. No theory really gets to that point. Right now, the reunion Sephiroth is talking about, from my perspective, is about Zack and Cloud, and that's awesome, yet terrifying. And then we get to his last line.
I'm waiting, Cloud.
This is the exact same way he says it near the end of Remake.
I'm waiting, Cloud.
Sephiroth is waiting, and he wants the worlds to merge for the reunion. He's calling for Cloud. He's a manipulator, and he's doing it in every single one of these trailers, and it's freaking awesome to see. And there we have it, February 29th, 2024. It's just a few months away now, and I can't get more hyped than I am right now. And good God, this box art is wild. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching, and please leave any comments about what I may have gotten wrong and what your thoughts are, because I definitely went through this from my own perspective. I'll see you all in the next video.